Today's Teyvat theory is about gods, reincarnation, cyclical eternity, and a hint at the truth that lies hidden beneath Teyvat. But first, this video contains spoilers for the story of Genshin Impact up till version 1.1, obviously. So in case you haven't experienced that yet, how about you go and do that now? I mean, what are you waiting for? Dragonspine's about to drop. This whole theory got started one shut-in day of the year 2020, as I was just innocently browsing the official YouTube channel of Genshin Impact, listening to the frankly phenomenal soundtrack. Can we just appreciate how good the music is in this game, honestly? And as I was going through the Mondstadt soundtracks, I noticed the title of one of the variations of the game's main theme. A word I had never seen before. Anamnesis? I didn't know what that was, but it was the title of the main theme of the game, so I wondered, perhaps this might have some significance. That's actually the track that you can hear in the background right now. And if we go through the list of the different titles here, we'll see that all the variations of the main theme, they sort of are about remembrance and remembering things. It's quite interesting that they share that common theme. The only outlier is this strange word. Except, as it turns out, it's not an outlier at all. It just so happens that anamnesis in Old Greek appears to mean something to the effect of recollecting past knowledge, remembering things. And it actually specifically refers to an idea from Plato that he introduces in his Socratic dialogues, in which anamnesis, as a worldview or as an idea, seems to have been created as a response of sorts to Minos paradox, which roughly goes something like, suppose you have a question that you want to find the answer, that you want to find the truth to. Now, if you were presented with some answer, you would only know that answer to be true if you were able to compare it to the truth and find them to be equal. But in that case, you would need to already be in possession of the truth, in which case you would need to ask the question in the first place. And on the other hand, if you're not already in possession of the truth, then you will never be able to know if the answer is true or not. Thus, asking, making an inquiry, is either unnecessary or flat-out impossible. That's interesting, and I'm sure you can poke holes in that. Or you can take the completely rational and sane way out and simply come up with an entirely new worldview, where all fundamental truths are already known to people. They're imparted into their immortal soul and merely forgotten upon reincarnation. And now you can make inquiries and you can ask questions to the big questions to find the big truths, because you're really just remembering them. That, or I'm grossly misrepresenting ancient philosophy, but what do I know? I don't have an education in this. Anyways, let's get back to what matters, which is to ask how this is relevant to our 3D waifu and husbando collector game. Now, I'd like to put forward the idea that you don't accidentally name 3 variations of the main theme of your game to all be in line with a theme of memory and remembrance. That's not how accidents work. There are no accidents here. So rather, I'd suppose it would be important to the game, but thinking about it, I don't recall these being important themes to the game at all. Which is curious. Off the top of my head, the only instance where sort of memory and forgetting some important truth has even played a role at all in the game is right here, in the intro cinematic of the Battle Pass. But she was deceived, and the memory of her noble origins faded. Now, unfortunately, the verdict on who these 2 people in the Battle Pass cinematic actually are is still out. There is some common belief that it is the twins, perhaps, although I'm not fully convinced. I could actually see it even being the Sustainer from the beginning of the game, but I think we'll see in the future with more evidence. Either way, that would suggest that this now new crowned deceived Queen of Darkness is to play a very important role in the future of the game. So I tried putting this new information together with what we already know about the lore of the game, specifically the pieces and bits of information that we get from the elemental tiaras, which probably give us the sort of deepest history about the game. We're talking about ancient legends here. This certainly happened in a time even before Zhongli was born, and he is already older than the Bible, quite literally. Over the course of their descriptions, the tiaras tell a story of a mankind that has just come to be after a long ice age. Well, I presume it's an ice age, that's how I would interpret this eternal covering ice. Who are directly guided by envoys of the gods, which read envoys of Celestia, and are ushered into an age of prosperity. Also note the wording on the Tiara of Flame. There the chief priest goes into antediluvian ruins, which is another word that I had never heard of before, so I looked it up. It turns out that's sort of a biblical word that refers to the time before the flood. The flood is in the Great Flood, is a sort of a cleansing done by God, which is peculiar because this seems more or less like the sort of civilization that you would expect before the cleansing. We'll keep that in mind for later on. The Tiara of Thunder is, by the way, the reason that I sort of pinned this civilization described before as going to be wiped out, because they explicitly they anger the gods by questioning them and conspiring to enter the garden of the gods, as in presumably Celestia, which again this reads in a very biblical fashion, and usually conspiring to enter the garden of the gods does not end well for anybody. Sort of a Tower of Babel kind of thing, I assume. But this is quite interesting, right? I think the most important piece, the key piece, is in the last tiara, which unfortunately I don't have access to. As it turns out, I've never actually defeated a Cryo Regisvine, or at least looted one, I guess. But the background of the archive screen is so pretty, I thought it would be a waste not to show the tiara there as well, so I quickly went to kill a Cryo Regisvine. And yes, I'm a filthy Diluc Unga Bunga main. Blame my disgusting luck. And after a short encounter with Schrödinger's Cryo Regisvine, which managed to simultaneously be dead and lootable and alive and still hitting me without doing damage. Anyways, after running with that, I noticed that I didn't have enough resin. This game sometimes. So anyways, here's a snippet from the wiki. The tiara outright states that at the end of a cycle the earth shall be renewed. And it already seemed like the civilization that came before was also destroyed, remember? There were antediluvian ruins already to be found in the very first tiara, and would you look at that? The entire story is cyclical because it ends with a world blanketed in unending ice. Would you look at that? And now it is time for wild speculation, my favorite. I predict that the world of Teyvat is actually cyclically destroyed and reborn. I mean, the Tiara of Frost, the Tiara of Ice seems to basically outright state so, doesn't it? And there are many themes of Teyvat. Again, Teyvat apparently in Hebrew can be read as Ark, as a Noah's Ark. There are many themes with the remnants of ancient civilizations. There are many themes of survivors of a catastrophe, of some ancient great calamity. But in the tiara, the people look back on an ancient calamity, but there's also a calamity impending upon them. Now, if we combine this with the little bit of anamnesis that we got before, I predict that all the people in Teyvat, with the exception of the Traveler, because he is an outsider, they've all been through this cycle before and reincarnated, but have lost their memories. In addition, I suspect that this cyclical destruction is perpetrated by Celestia. After all, if we recall a little saying that Zhongli told us, 7 ideals for 7 nations, and out of all of them, eternity is nearest unto heaven, the motto of the Electro Archon. So that very much tells me that heaven, as in Celestia, is deeply intertwined with this cyclical eternity. But that is just a Teyvat theory. Oh, I'm also really excited for the Dragonspine update. I'm sure that Albedo and his story quest and his whole event is going to give us plenty more of lore bits to chew on.